Welcome to Crime Files TikTok Compilations, the vault of real horror, where murder isn't fiction and the footage never lies. In this collection, we unearth chilling clips, haunting case files, and real-life moments that expose the darkest corners of the human mind. What you're about to witness is raw, unsettling, and unforgettable. These aren't stories, they're warnings.
A former news anchor finds herself in the news this morning after she was charged with the murder of her mother.
I remember my mom would put it in one of these cans like you suggested and just put it in and it would cool and then she'd throw it away.
Exactly.
And you said from 8 to 5 they can come pick this up?
They can come and pick those up.
All right, so that was Angeline Mock on the air. A little look back in time. Well, this is her the other day when her mugshot was taken. She's being held on $1 million bond and accused of first-degree murder. Her 80-year-old mother, Anita Avers, was found unresponsive with multiple stab wounds at her home on Friday. Avers was later pronounced dead at a local hospital, and police say that Angeline Mock was at the scene outside of her mother's home, just feet away from where her mom was located in her bed. Now, according to her LinkedIn profile, Mock worked as a reporter at the local Fox station in St. Louis from the years 2011 to 2015 rather. No motivation for the crime has been cited by investigators as of this morning. Now, as the investigation continues, we're asking, how did this woman go from reporting the news to making the news? Let's bring in our power panel. Still with me, Lieutenant Mike Gould. Want to welcome in attorneys Melba Pearson and Joe Tamburino. Melba, would you start us off, please? Your thoughts on this woman?
Well, good morning, Julie and my fellow panelists. Yeah, this is definitely really disturbing because this is something I'm sure no one saw coming. This to me almost speaks like that she snapped, literally snapped, because of the level of violence when you're seeing that her mother was stabbed and so many times. I'm very curious to know if there was any domestic violence in the household, just in terms of elder abuse, or was maybe the mother sick and she was the primary caretaker and she just did not know how to handle it. I mean, there's just so many questions that I have here, but just a horrible, horrible tragedy all around.
Yeah, it really is, Melba. Joe Tamburino, what do you think hearing this, please?
Good morning, Julie. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I would agree. Something obviously went on. What I'm wondering is two things. Number one, what's her mental health history? And, basically, could she be trying to use her mental health as a defense? And number two, what exactly did she say after this? Because some reports say that she killed her mother because supposedly she was trying to save herself. Because as, you and I know from covering these cases with a, mental illness defense, it's really important to know what did the defendants say right afterwards, because that goes to their state of mind. So, when she said she did this to save herself, what was she thinking at the time? So, but I would start out with seeing what was her mental health history.
That's a great question, Joe. Yeah, I want to talk to you more about that potentially being a defense here. Lieutenant Gould, your take on this. This woman is described as a veteran broadcast journalist on her LinkedIn profile with 12 years of experience. What do you think?
Yeah, thanks, Julie, for having me. Yeah, I agree with both co-hosts, commentators, I should say. This matricide is very rare. Matricide takes place in about 3% of all homicides. When a daughter kills her mother, that's even less. So 90% of matricides are committed by men. So this was unusual. I think this is going to really boil down to schizophrenia, some type of delusional episode. I know there was not a lot of history on her mental health, but I think this is just going to boil down to insanity defense, where she just snapped, as Melba said, and stabbing a mother. It's very emotional, very intimate, and so I think that's going to be at the core of this whole thing, and it's a little premature at the moment to speculate further on that.
Right. You made some really great points just now. I want to explore these further. So matricide, the killing of one's mother, And you said typically, Lieutenant, it's men who do this, sons who would kill their mother if we have this kind of situation, not a daughter. So that right there kind of strikes you as odd.
Yeah, completely. You know, it's happened. We know the Mendez brothers killed their parents. We know back here on Long Island, the Amityville Horror, Ron DeFeo killed his entire family. So you will find these things happening. Unlikely or unusual is parents will kill their children before their parents, which is very odd to me. A mother will kill their, as we talked in other segments. So yeah, I find this odd. I really can't think it. And it's always usually this mental breakdown where they think they're putting somebody out of their misery or something like that. So I think it's going to be schizophrenia, psychosis, mental breakdown.
Something like that. Yeah, let's explore that further. So Joe Tamburino, you touched on this a little bit. Talk to us, please, about the next steps for Angelyn Mock as she's in the jail. What needs to happen with her, and then how might this defense progress?
Well, two things I think will happen. First, the defense will raise some type of insanity defense and get her an evaluation. And then the court, probably through the prosecutor's request, is going to get another evaluation, because when you raise insanity in most states, the defense has a right to get an evaluation, and so does the state. I mean, the courts will order it because you've got to see from both sides where this person is. But getting back to, what she said right after the alleged incident, as we know, it's so important to see what a defendant said right after whatever they did happened. Why? Because it gives a window into their state of mind. In so many of these insanity cases, people will say things that really look like they knew what they were doing. However, in some cases, and they're outliers, they'll commit a murder and then they'll say, they just killed the devil, they just killed a demon, or they just saved themselves, something like that. And, it's already come out that she said supposedly she had to save herself with this. So I'd like to hear more about what did she exactly say.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Joe, thanks. Melba, would you bring us home on this, please? Along the lines of what defenses may be available to this woman, tell us what else you're thinking when it comes to the evaluation and next procedural steps for Ms. Mock.
Well, my first thought is whether or not she's even capable of standing trial. Does she understand the charges that are against her? So we definitely would need an evaluation in terms of competency to even move forward in this process. Or will she have a situation where she will need to go into treatment to restore her basically to competency so that she can fully participate in a defense of this case? Tell the prosecutor, tell her defense attorney what she's dealing with, and the defense attorney can then follow up with medical records and all of that. But the defendant has to be able to participate in their defense. And so that is the first step to me before anything else.
That's a great point, Melba. Competency. Yeah, I suppose we'll see what happens at her next court appearance. We will be there and be following this case very closely. Great discussion. Thank you.
Tonight, we can actually see what that murderer, what Brian Kohberger was doing while on the loose. He was out and about at a Costco and at a coffee shop and at a supermarket the very morning that he slaughtered those 4 kids in their beds. Out and about like he didn't have a care in the world, like it was any other Sunday. Gray Hughes was the first to bring this incredible surveillance footage to light. He hosts the podcast and YouTube channel Gray Hughes Investigates. Gray was also the first person to obtain the surviving roommate's 911 call. Welcome back to the program, Gray. It's good to have you. I just want to start by saying I watched your entire episode and it gave me chills. I wanted to ask you your first thoughts upon seeing these nonchalant actions of this murderer just hours after he did what he did.
I think that's what it is right there. It's how casual he was. Like it was just an ordinary day. There's no way any of those people around would have thought that he had any part in killing 4 people just, about 8 hours prior to that, He walks in there. I mean, he's kind of a clueless type person, though. It's it's pretty strange. He would go into a Costco without a card or something and think you can go in and buy a drink. It almost feels like that's why he was going around to these different places. He went there maybe to get that coffee drink, and then he goes over to, Kate's Cup of Joe. We'll probably see her in a minute. And
well, let me take you frame by frame. I want to go in. Great. I want to go in sequence because you are really, really thorough in how you put this together. So let me start. This is Clarkston, Washington, which is important to say because it's hours after the murder, and Clarkston is 33 miles south of Pullman and Moscow. It's about a 40-minute drive, so he's a long way away from where these murders took place. But the first video I want to show is when he did that walk into Costco. I want to play it again because there's something significant. He gets stopped, and I think what we've all kind of figured out here is that the greeter, he's about to walk right by the greeter, and the greeter says, "Give me your card, your membership, and take me from there."
Yeah, and he just sort of stands there. He probably sounds similar to when he was talking to the police officer, the female police officer, when he was pulled over. It's interesting how he was holding his left hand when he came in. It was kind of oddly, shaped, and that's the hand that has the Band-Aid on it, right? So maybe he was trying to hide that hand a little extra. I mean, you can kind of see, look how he's moving in. See how it's kind of like, it's not really that natural the way he's holding it right there. See that? Very kind of strange. He doesn't sort of casually relax next to him. It's sort of a weird shape. And now he puts it in his pocket. I don't know if he just does that or he doesn't want somebody to notice his hand. But he's just probably coming up with excuses like, hey, we don't have Costco's in Pennsylvania, so maybe I thought I could just come in and buy a coffee or something. I mean,
well,
I don't know. We don't know what he's saying.
Maybe, maybe this is the only essence of a conscience that he might have, is that he's feeling the pain of the cut on that left finger that's bandaged, and maybe is, subconsciously hiding it because it's the only sign of what he's just done a mere 8 hours before this video was taken. I want to show him after he leaves this Costco and is basically rebuked by the greeter because he doesn't have a membership or at least a card. He walks out, and this is the white Elantra. He's driving that now infamous white Elantra out of the Costco parking lot. This is 12:37 p.m., which is such a significant time because, Gray, this is 39 minutes since the initial 911 call came in to the police about what was found in that house.
It's always interesting to have those juxtaposition of different time frames like that. There's people, in a completely different place that are just now horrified by what he did, and he's casually walking around doing things that normal people do. And he knows while driving around that he's killed 4 people, It's crazy.
And we talked at length after this date about, a white Elantra. We're on the hunt for a white Elantra, and there it was that morning driving past Costco.
This mother and her 10-month-old baby were murdered by the cartel. 16-year-old Alyssa Perez was found deceased holding her 10-month-old baby, Nicholas, in a ditch in Tulare, California. Officers arrived to the home around 4 a.m. after someone called police about a large number of gunshots. When they entered the home, they found another victim in the doorway, and there were 3 more bodies inside, including an older woman. All the victims were murdered by a gunshot to the head, and 2 other women actually survived by hiding in a nearby trailer. It's been said that Alyssa tried to run away with her baby, but then she was found and murdered. Investigators believe that this was a gang-related attack and that they were trying to send a message. But after further investigation, police records revealed that the week prior, a search warrant was done on the property, and guns, marijuana, and meth were found, which is why they concluded that this crime was drug-related. Police also mentioned that the manner and swiftness of the killings suggested that the men were experienced in murder.
Live with my child being dead. I hope they can live. I hope they can sleep, because I pray to God that the pain that they have caused me and my family will multiply. I pray everything they do will be cut off. I pray everything that they touch will perish. These people have not even come by and said sorry or give their condolences or anything. This little kid that used to eat at my house, go on vacation with us. I fed him like my own, have not even showed up and tell me what happened to my son. Y'all imagine my pain and my anger? Can you even imagine how I feel? It's just the grace of God that's keeping me. I swear to God.
This is the story of 18-year-old Lennon Latham, affectionately known as LJ. He was a young man full of potential, with big dreams and a family who loved him dearly. LJ had his entire life ahead of him, but tragically, after an evening out with his best friend, he would go missing and would be found dead days later. His young life would be cut short under suspicious circumstances, leaving his family devastated and a community in shock. What happened to LJ? Was his death an accident? Or a resident of Miramar, was an ambitious young man and was known for leading others, being selfless, and having a kind heart. He was so caring that he'd even give away his last bit of money to help someone else. LJ was really close to his parents, who loved him deeply and raised him well. He loved spending time with them, and always showed his appreciation for the life they provided him.
I'm just icon living. Wait, I'm just icon living. Hey.
He also had a loving sister and a younger brother who adored him. His brother's first words were LJ. LJ had high ambitions. He started a car wash business in his community, washing rental cars. He also had dreams of becoming a pilot after finishing high school. He was passionate about flying and worked hard to make that dream come true.
Okay, Mr. Pilot, how was your first flight?
It was good.
Were you nervous?
No, I was not nervous. It was very exciting. As soon as I let off, it was just natural for me. Just let it go and I just took over. That was it.
Wow, how was the landing?
It was a bit bumpy, but you got it down on numbers. It's really cool.
Currently a high school senior, he was set to graduate with good grades in 2023 and had been accepted into a university focused on aviation. LJ was a model child in the eyes of his parents. His mom, Charmaine, was proud of him and often talked about his achievements on social media. At 18 years old, LJ had his whole life ahead of him, but everything changed on a particular night in April 2023. On that night, LJ told his mom he was going out with his best friend, who lived nearby. He had to be back home by midnight, and he usually kept in touch with his mom while he was out. However, as the night grew later, LJ didn't respond to his mom's messages or calls. She even contacted his friend, who said LJ left his phone in the car while he was in the bathroom. His mom grew worried when he didn't get back in touch and checked his location. She saw that he had passed their home, which was unusual. Alarmed, she went to the park where LJ and his friend usually hung out, but LJ was nowhere to be found. Panic set in, and she called the authorities to report him missing. For 3 agonizing days, LJ's family and the community searched for him.
The search intensifies to find a South Florida teenager missing for days.
7's Belkis Naray is at the news desk with more on this. Belkis?
As you might imagine, this family is desperately seeking help to find their missing son. 18-year-old Lennon Latham disappeared in Miramar Tuesday night. He was last seen near Vizcaya Park on Southwest 55th Street. This afternoon, they searched a lake in a gated community as part of their investigation. His family, as you might imagine, is very concerned for his well-being. Lennon was last seen wearing a white t-shirt, red Adidas joggers, and Gucci sandals. If you have any information, you are urged to call Miramar Police right away. The number is 954-602-4000. And now federal agencies are helping local police in this search.
Sadly, LJ's body was discovered in a lake in the park where he was last seen. The authorities concluded that he had accidentally drowned. But this explanation left many questions unanswered, especially since LJ was a strong swimmer according to his mom.
A tragic update to the search for a missing Miramar teenager, police finding his body in a lake last night. Lennon Leje Latham was last seen on Tuesday near Vizcaya Park on Southwest 55th Street. His body was found nearby. Investigators say no foul play suspected right now. The cause of death will be determined by the medical examiner.
Despite the tragedy, the case didn't receive much attention beyond the local area, and it was eventually closed. Yet, LJ's family couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister had happened. LJ's mom took to social media to air out her frustrations with the circumstances surrounding her son's death.
So, everyone's been asking me what happened to LJ. I still don't believe what I was told happened to my son, because it doesn't make sense. I was told that, according to the autopsy, that my son drowned. Accidental drowning. How does a kid that is an amazing swimmer drowns accidentally? I don't understand that. Makes no sense.
The TikTok star and her mum, who were found guilty of murder, have been given whole life sentences. Last month, Mehek and Ansreen Bukhari were both found guilty for the murders of Saqib Hussain and Muhammad Hashim Ijazuddin in February 2022. Saqib and Ansreen were involved in a 3-year-long affair, but he threatened to reveal explicit videos if Ansreen ended the relationship. Saqib and his friend Hashim were then rammed off the road when Mehek and Ansreen drove after them. Now, they've both been jailed for life, with Mehek handed a minimum of 31 years and 8 months, and her mother Ansreen was handed 26 years and 9 months in prison. 29-year-old Rakan Kawan and 23-year-old Rais Jamal were both found guilty of assisting in the murders and were also jailed for life. During the sentencing, Judge Timothy Spencer Casey said TikTok and Instagram were at the heart of the case. Mehek dropped out of university to pursue her career as an influencer, and the judge argued that if she hadn't, she would have been looking forward to the rest of her life. He also added that Ansreen made the calamitous choice of leaving the threat in the hands of her daughter. Mehek was seen wiping her tears during the sentencing as she learned she'll be spending decades behind bars.
It's been almost a year since Samantha Hutchinson was killed, plowed into by a drunk driver as she was leaving her wedding. Here are 2 unfortunate updates that have happened since the incident. Sam's mother, Lisa Miller, has entered into a nasty legal battle with Eric Hutchinson, Sam's husband, over Sam's estate. Lisa Miller has filed a petition to remove Eric Hutchinson as Sam's personal representative, since she said they were never actually legally married, since the wedding had happened earlier that day and documents hadn't been filed in court yet. Lisa Miller said, quote, "Sam would want me to have a piece of her inheritance." What inheritance am I talking about? The expected multi-million-dollar settlement that Eric Hutchinson is supposed to receive from the bars who completely overserved the drunk driver that killed Sam. According to Eric's legal team, they even offered Lisa Miller half of the inheritance. Whatever he gets, he would split with her, and she refused. The driver of the vehicle, Jamie Komorowski, posted her $15,000 bail yesterday and was
This mother hid sticky notes in her daughter's sock to be saved from captivity. This 28-year-old mother and 2 kids, 7-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, were held captive by a man named Brandon Tusland. This all started in January 2021 when the father of the 2 kids, Eli Dominguez, passed away from pneumonia. The mother was happily married to Eli, but since his death, she began to struggle financially. That's when Eli's former friend, Brandon, offered to support her and her 2 kids. In March 2021, the mother and 2 kids moved into Brandon's home, and that's when he became controlling and abusive. He alienated her from her family, made her quit her job, and confiscated her phone. He put locks on the bedroom doorknobs, installed motion sensors, and duct taped her to the bed. She was also handcuffed when she rode in the car with him. But one day, the mother spotted a sticky notepad and a pen in his car, and that's when she began a weeks-long plan to seek help. The mother found the perfect chance to put a sticky note in her daughter's sock, and on February 22nd at 8:40 a.m., the 7-year-old girl went to school and gave the sticky note to her teacher. The note said that her mother was being held against her will and she needed help right away. School officials notified authorities and Brandon was arrested right away. But it doesn't end there. This is when things get super disturbing. Brandon kept her kids away from her most of the time, and especially when she was locked up. And she actually had not seen her 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, since December 11th, and she suspected he was dead. When the mother lost full contact with her son, she knew she had to find a way out to save her and her daughter. When police searched his house, they found the remains of 4-year-old Mason Dominguez in his freezer in his garage.
currently a newly single mom, and I am in the middle of a divorce. My husband is being incredible though, like really and truly, like we're working together, everything's great, we're splitting everything down the middle, like, you know, everything is good. It is a very civil divorce with our daughter in mind, and I really appreciate that. However, you know, I'm going to be on single income right now, and he will be helping with her, he will be supporting her, you know, so essentially, like, I'm really thankful for that, and that I will not have to worry so much about supporting her. However, I will be on a very limited income, I've never done this before. I've never been on my own before. So if you have any tips, saving money, making money, anything like that, like, I would really appreciate it. Like, you know, I do my own hair, nails, everything. Like, I do all that. So if you just have any tips, like, I would really appreciate it, because, like, I'm a little scared right now.
Neha Gupta, come to the front door! Do it now! We have a warrant for your arrest! Come to the front door!
Breach. A pediatrician, a mother, now accused of murdering her own daughter. Let's break down what really happened to 4-year-old Arya. Neha Gupta wasn't just any doctor, she was respected until her world fell apart. Fired from Oklahoma Children's Hospital after colleagues raised serious concerns. At the same time, she was trapped in a heated custody battle. Multiple judges, psychiatric reports, her ex-husband begging the court, "I'm scared for Arya's safety." Despite warnings, Gupta still got that final vacation. Just her and her daughter in Florida. June 27th. Sometime after 3 a.m., Neha calls 911. "My daughter's in the pool." She tells officers Arya slipped out while she slept. But from the start, first responders say things don't add up. A locked pool gate, no water in Arya's lungs at the ER, and bruises on her face. Medical examiners say cause of death is asphyxiation, not drowning. Signs of smothering, nothing accidental. Surveillance proves nobody entered the property that night but Gupta.
You guys remember this piece of crap officer Sean Grayson, who killed Sonia Massey in her own home after she called 911 for help? Well, one of the first people to testify against him was his ex-partner, Officer Dawson Farley, who was with him that day. He said there wasn't one point that night that he was afraid of Sonia Massey, and in fact, the only person he was afraid of that night was his partner, Sean Grayson. And when they played the body cam footage for the jury to see, Sean Grayson covered his ears and looked down when they played the part where he fired 3 times at Sonia, taking her life. If you're unfamiliar with this case, on July 6th of 2024, Sonia Massey called police to her home in Springfield, Illinois because she thought that there was an intruder outside of her house. After entering, Sean Grayson notices there's a pot of boiling water on the stove, so he tells Sonia to go take it off, and as she's taking it off, they're joking back and forth, and Sonia says, "I'll rebuke you in the name of Jesus." That's when Sean Grayson says, "You better effing not, I swear to God, I'll shoot you in your effing face." Sonia apologizes and ducks beneath the counter, but regardless, Grayson fires 3 times, hitting her once in the head. He then prevents his partner from getting medical aid because he says she's already done. Turns out Sean Grayson had a history of misconduct, but he was still allowed to be on the field. Rest in peace to Sonia, prayers for her justice. Let me know what you guys think, and as anything comes out, I'll keep you guys updated.
Every clip you watched is more than just a story. It's a chilling reminder that real life can be darker than fiction. If these crimes shook you, disturbed you, or left you with questions, don't stay silent. Hit that subscribe button to join a community that refuses to forget. Like this video to keep these stories alive. Share it to spread awareness, and drop a comment with your thoughts. Who do you think was really behind it, or what part shocked you most?